To order. Thank you. Dr. Voss, will you please lead the invocation and pledge allegiance?
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, Lord God, it's again and another time that we assemble ourselves together here to do business on behalf of Jasper County. Lord, we ask that you would be with us now in the deliberations, Lord, that we may do those things that are, first of all, most honorable to you and honorable and suitable to the people of Jasper County. Lord, we thank you for all your many blessings, Lord. We just give you praise, and we thank you for the grace and mercy that you've shown upon us and this county. And Lord, be with those today that are going through turmoil, that's in the flood and in the wars and disruptions that are going on in the world. Lord, we ask you to be with them as they stand in need of your blessings as well. Father, we just give you all the praise and we give you all the glory. In your Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Voss. Could we get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved, Ms. Chairman.
Thank you. The motion by Mr. Jenkins. And second.
Ms. Ferguson?
Yeah, second. I'm sorry, second by Ms. Ferguson. Thank you. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion passed. Could we get a motion for the approval of the minutes of June 10th, 2025?
So moved.
Mr. Wade made the motion.
Second.
Dr. Bostic, second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Old business, zoning text amendment, Jasper County zoning ordinance, Article 9.6, accessory structures. I'll turn that over to you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Planning Commission members.
Good evening.
This is a proposed ordinance to amend Article 9.6 of the Jasper County zoning ordinance, accessory structures, for the purpose of increasing the building size limitations for accessory structures. This amendment was originally reviewed by the Planning Commission at their May 13, 2025 meeting, and a recommendation was forwarded to County Council. That recommendation was a favorable recommendation. The council reviewed the proposed amendment at their June 2nd, 2025 meeting and voted to send the proposed ordinance back to the Planning Commission to consider if the size limitation for accessory structures is still too restrictive. At the June 10th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, this item was tabled and staff was directed to look at other counties to see how they regulate accessory structures. Additionally, there was some discussion about shipping containers at the May 13th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. Jasper County's regulations for accessory structures do not allow shipping containers to be used as accessory structures in the residential zoning district. Regulations from other jurisdictions are outlined below regarding accessory structures and shipping containers. Regulations from Beaufort County, Colleton County, Berkeley County, and Orangeburg County are included with this staff report for your review. Beaufort County uses setbacks and size limitations to regulate accessory structures. Accessory structures cannot exceed 30% of the principal structure, except for 2-car garages, which then shall not exceed 600 square feet. Beaufort County amended their accessory structures to allow accessory uses to be connected to the principal structure via a roof line connecting walkway that meets the building code which then is classified as part of the principal structure rather than an accessory structure. Shipping containers are not allowed to be used as an accessory structure in Beaufort County. Colleton County uses setbacks and building placement to regulate the size of accessory structures. In some cases, they do have increased setbacks, but no size limitations for accessory structures. One shipping container is allowed to be used as an accessory structure in Colleton County. Berkeley County uses building placement, setbacks, and building size limitations to regulate accessory structures. Accessory structures are limited to 65% of the principal structure. Shipping containers are not allowed to be used as an accessory structure except in the commercial and industrial zoning districts and the rural Flex 1 district. Orangeburg County uses building placement and setbacks to regulate accessory structures. They do not have any size limitations for accessory structures. Shipping containers are not allowed as an accessory structure in Orangeburg County. Jasper County uses building placement, setbacks, and building size limitations to regulate accessory structures. Shipping containers are not allowed to be used as an accessory structure in the residential zoning district. However, shipping containers are allowed to be used as an accessory structure in the rural preservation, commercial, and industrial zoning districts. The city of Hardyville allows shipping containers only on a temporary basis for their zoning districts, with the exception of single-family residential 1 and single-family residential 2 districts. Also, they do not permit shipping containers on properties that have frontage or direct visibility to Highway 278, Argent Boulevard, White Hardy Boulevard, John Smith Road, Highway 170, and Main Street. All applicants who apply for a temporary permit for a shipping container in Hardyville must be a permit holder for new construction or renovation. So the proposed ordinance, if approved, I have made some changes to this proposal, and if it were to be amended, it would change Article, Article 961 General Standards. Number 2, we say accessory dwelling units and commercial accessory structures are limited to height restrictions in Article 7. But just to fine tune where that is, it's at 7:5. So I'd like to just add that reference :5 to 961. And then in 962, we would change number 5. This is accessory structures and dwelling units in the residential zoning district. Number 5 to say, for lots that are less than a ½ acre in size, the total square footage of an accessory structure shall be limited in size to either 25% of the total ground floor area of the principal structure or 800 square feet, whichever is greater. So that is for under a ½ acre. For lots that are greater than a ½ acre, the building size would be limited to either 50% of the total ground floor area of the principal structure, or as follows, whichever is greater. So for a ½ acre to 0.99 acre, it would be 1,000 square feet. 1 acre to 1.9 acre, 1,200 square feet. 2 to 2.9 acres, 1,300 square feet. 3 to 3.9 acres, 1,400 square feet. 4 to 4.9 acres, 1,500 square feet. 5 acres would be 1,600 square feet plus 100 square feet per additional acre over 5 acres, not to exceed 3,500 square feet. I just highlighted number 7 just to show you in the residential zoning district, our ordinance just currently states shipping containers cannot be used as accessory structures. So far, there's no change there. And then under 9:6.3, accessory structures in commercial, industrial, and commercial. The word zoning is missing there, so we just would like to add in zoning in front of districts. And the same thing for 9:64, the state accessory structures in resource conservation and rural preservation zoning districts. Well, the word districts was missing in that one as well. And then under number 1 for resource conservation and rural preservation, this amendment is proposing that the total square footage of an accessory unit is limited to the following: 1 to 1.9 acres, 1,400 square feet, 2 to 2.9 acres, 1,600 square feet, 3 to 3.9 acres, 1,800 square feet, 4 to 4.9 acres, 2,000 square feet, 5 or more acres would be 2,500 square feet for the first, and I'll clarify that, it should say, just like 962 states, it should state 5 acres, 2,500 square feet, plus 200 square feet per additional acre over 5 acres, not to exceed 7,500 square feet. Those are all the changes that are being proposed. Staff does want to hear from the Planning Commission, especially about the size under 9.64 in the rural preservation zoning district. I would like to know if you think that a bona fide agricultural structure be exempt from size restriction, and if so, we should define what an agricultural structure is. And I put an example there of a definition for that. Or do you think it should be limited in size? 7,500 square feet is a large building. So I really want your input, and I want your input as well, even in the residential zoning district. If you think what's being proposed there is suitable, do you think it should go further, and should it be capped at 3,500 square feet?
Could you remind us, this came back to us from the county council, and could you just remind us why they felt we needed to review it?
Yes. And if you'll give me just a minute, I'll pull up the other ordinance. I actually meant to put it in the package from May, because really that was the suggestion, was for y'all to look at it and see if these structures, accessory structures, should be larger. So I have increased them some. I had a hard time getting all, there's pros and cons to it. We know that the bigger it gets, it does allow for some code enforcement issues, potentially. But let me just pull that up real quick and we can look at it. I'm going to do a little better. I didn't have any of that highlighted. I'm going to pull this one up. Okay, so this is what was being recommended under 9.62. We were recommending that the total square footage of accessory structures under number 5 be limited in size to either 25% of the total ground floor area of the principal structure or 800 square feet of total floor area, whichever is greater. Larger lot residential designated property over 2 acres, the total square footage of accessory units is limited in size to either 50% of the total ground floor area of the principal structure, or as follows, whichever is greater: 2.2 acres to 2.9, 1,250 square feet. So I'd like to point out the one, everything under 2 acres is limited still to 800 square feet. That was original what we sent the county council. Then 2 to 2.9 was 1,250 square feet. 3 to 4.9 was 1,500 square feet. And 5 or more acres was 2,000 square feet plus 2,500 square feet per additional acre over 5.
So this is what went to them the first time, what you showed on the screen?
Yes, this is what went the first
And
time.
they were dissatisfied with that?
And just to give you a little backstory, this it's just happened to be totally, it wasn't planned. It's something that just happened. We had received an application for a permit for an accessory structure the same week, basically, that it was going to county council. It was just coincidental. We couldn't issue the permit because the property owner had an acre and a half of land. It was zoned residential, and he wanted to put up 1,130 or 1,140 square feet accessory structure. So he did speak to the county council the same night that I was presenting this, so that was just very coincidental, and it, it's the problems we've been having. So anyhow, this was sent back after all that.
Okay, so that was what resulted in it being sent back. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to share with the commission regarding this before we?
So we have allowed, the proposal does add an increase, but not a big increase. So I'm certainly, again, interested in how y'all feel about that.
What was the formula that was used to?
What's that?
What was the formula that you used to do the increase?
So in residential, we've increased it for anything that's over a half acre. We wanted to keep everything at the 800 square feet for under a half acre because there's plenty of properties. So you need a half acre in residential, but there's plenty of properties that are non-conforming, they're of record, they're under a half acre that are zoned residential. That's why we want to keep the 800 in place for those. So we have we've doubled the size for the 25% of the total ground floor area to 50% if you're a half acre or larger. So if you have a 0.75 of an acre, we say 1,000 square feet. But if you have a 2,500 square foot house, that really would get you 1,250 square feet on that accessory structure. So we increased that, but then we added 200 square feet to that for the minimum to be 1,000 square feet. And then from there, we worked up just 100 square feet for each additional acre in the residential zoning district. In the rural preservation zoning district, we started out with 1,400 square feet. We've increased this by 200 square feet. And then for each acre, it increases by 200 square feet. Another thing we did in assessing the square footage is in 2007, when this zoning ordinance was created and the county-wide rezoning was done, everything that was 25 acres and greater was intended to be rural preservation. Everything that was under 25 acres was intended to be residential. So we did use the map to come up with like this limitation, this 3,500 square foot. If you take, and if you say that you have, a 25-acre property that's zoned rural preservation, you have, you could get, 1,600 square foot accessory building on the 5 acres, and then, the other 20 acres times 100 is 2,000 more square feet. That's 3,600 square feet, but really so that's how we got to the 3,500. And then anything over 25 acres. So that is one thing this ordinance would do. It does put a cap in place where our other one didn't have that cap, but it does allow for larger structures.
We were about to go to individual questions from
Mr. Pinckney, what's on the screen right now is what was originally sent to the county council back in May, the original recommendation, because I didn't have this in your package, and there were some changes made, so I was explaining that. I'll just take this back to the residential area. So what's on the screen was from May, what's in your package is an updated version.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah. Lisa, one question I have, when we're talking accessory units, are we talking about lean-tos, or are we talking about, it have to be enclosed? And does it have to have a foundation? I mean, what exactly are we considering in that 800 square feet or 1,000 square feet or whatever?
Okay,
is that
so
just under roof? Is that?
yes, sir.
If
You go back to the very beginning, that's on the second page of the staff report where it says analysis, Article 9.6, accessory structures. It's any accessory structure. It's a structure over 120 square feet that supports an approved accessory. It includes a pole barn or an enclosed shed. We go on to, under our definitions in Article 4 of the zoning ordinance, we do define what that is. It can be a greenhouse, a barn, a shed, a pool house, but the one thing that is exempt is like a house for any utilities, like a pump house for your well.
Right. Okay. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a little restricted too.
Okay.
Because to me, pole barns, carports, lean-tos, that kind of thing, to me is not an accessory unit. When I think of an accessory unit, I think of something that's enclosed, has a foundation. That's what I think of as when I think of an accessory unit. I mean, that's just my opinion. Also, I wanted to ask you about the 9:64.
Yes.
The acreages that you've got broken out, that's for rural preservation, isn't that correct?
That's correct.
I thought rural preservation, you really didn't have anything. I mean, they're supposed to be like 25 acres plus.
That's correct. But over the years, there's been plats that have been cut out of rural preservation, and in a few cases, we've had some down zonings where people have come in and requested that their property be down zoned to rural preservation. More so, we see that when somebody wants to use it for more agricultural type of purposes. So,
All the way down to...
you're correct. When we started in 07, it was 25 acres and greater was rural preservation. And that's how we came to these maximum numbers.
Okay, so you're just trying to cover all the bases in case there's an oddball out there. That's what.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yes. So, I mean, I was sitting here just doing the math, just to put it in perspective. If you have 25 acres that's zoned rural preservation, you would be allowed, by using the the 2,500 square foot that you could have for having 5 acres, and then 200 square feet for the additional 20 acres, gives you 4,000 more square feet, so that's 6,500. So in order to even get to the 7,500, you have to have more than 25 acres to even get there. You need 4 more acres, so you need to have at least 29 acres to get to the 7,500. But, you know, if the planning commission thinks that if it's a bona fide agricultural structure, maybe it's a barn for horses, maybe it needs to be bigger, then I would just suggest we define what an agricultural structure is. And I included here a definition we could use if you feel that way, to state that it's a non-residential building or facility located on land used for farming, designed for various purposes related to the production and storage of agricultural goods, feeds, and equipment. These structures are integral to farming operations and may include barns, silos, and greenhouses.
And when it comes to larger acreages, and I'm talking about over 25 acres, it's still only allowed for 3 structures, is that correct?
That's correct.
And now, would that 3 structures, would that exclude the agricultural structures if we consider it a modified agricultural structure?
So let me take that back. I'm sorry. Residential is limited to the number of structures. The larger properties that zone rural preservation, there is not a limit to the number, but there's a limit to the size.
Okay. All right. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Anyone else any questions?
One other thing, I just kind of wanted to make a suggestion. After seeing Hardyville shipping containers, I would suggest that, and we haven't had time to put anything together, sorry about that, but maybe however you vote tonight, but I was thinking maybe we could make a recommendation that we should look at a similar ordinance to Hardyville shipping containers, just to regulate them, and especially to limit them from being on Highway 278 going to Hilton Head, or Highway 17, you know, the major highways that people travel every day. I don't think any of us want to see a shipping container right by the road. You know, they should be set back and screened, which we do say they'd have to be screened. Our ordinance does say that. So
have to be what? I'm sorry.
Screened from
Screened.
Visibility.
That's from the road?
Yeah.
What about screening from your neighbor?
So again, those are only allowed in rural preservation and your commercial districts. I have the screening here. Right here. The screening shall be required of all open storage areas not devoted to retail sales visible from any public street, including open storage areas, shipping containers. But this is only applicable to commercial. Non-residential is exempt from this particular screening requirement, and shipping containers isn't mentioned anywhere else in the whole ordinance. So I thought we probably should, at least wherever they're going to be allowed, take a look. Maybe there's some highways we prefer to not have them.
It's a lot of them in the county. And the thing about sometime where an individual may desire to put them, when they get delivered, they can't put them there. Because they are very, very heavy. I got one you can't see, but I had to spend another $1,500 to get two machinery to get it where I wanted to hide it. But then when the delivery truck put it, it was an undesirable place. So we may need to look at some guidelines on what we can do to keep the aesthetics of it real.
And I
Go
think
ahead.
the other thing is, if you are zoned residential and you have just under 25 acres, that's a fairly large piece of property. I don't understand why we couldn't have regulations to, like you said, to address the aesthetics of these for in certain circumstances. I mean, I think in certain circumstances, they can look better than some of these other accessory structures.
Are you speaking of like a color code or something? Maybe something more natural base color that wouldn't be bright like a red or a blue? Maybe
Or
something
maybe
like
it matches the
green,
building it's next
something that
to.
blends in with nature a little better.
I mean, but if you have a piece of property and you have a shed on it that's metal, and you have this, shipping container that's metal, they're the same surface, and you paint them the same, what's the difference?
Right.
I mean,
Well, if you paint them, you're right. I mean, they could be screened, they could be painted. You know, I am familiar with some that just sit out and they rust because they're not taken care of. So
plenty of those in the county.
if that's the plan, maybe we could fight this off and chew it up piece by piece. But if it's your desire for us to come back with some standards on shipping containers, that's what I was getting at. I think we probably want to know that, are there those certain highly visible highways, those corridors that we want to, especially, do we want commercial businesses just to be able to start using them as a storage shed instead of building a shed and it's visible to Highway 278? So it's those things. If you think there need to be some standards, I think screening and buffering would be very important. And I think that's a good idea. Maybe if we're going to permit them going forward, they could, if it's residential use, could at least blend in or match the house by being painted.
My neighbor put one in. It's different when you live in a community, that you have a neighbor right here, than it is if you have 20 acres out somewhere. You know, he would not move it, and it was a very unsightly thing. So I think in neighborhoods, they're not a good idea. But maybe you could make it something that people could use. I think they're probably cheaper maybe than building something. I don't know.
Well, the problem is too, that most people don't get building permits to get those put in anyway. So,
Well, that's true.
And we could state that in any regulations that needs to happen. And we don't have anything ready for you tonight, and that's why I was saying, if you do decide that we could send the rest of this ordinance to council, I mean, that's a recommendation you can make to however you feel about shipping container. We do want your input, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
I think we're behind the 8 ball by 4 because these stuff all over the county. You have them in your yard. And where I live down there, they bring 2 and put them on a platform. Got a roof over, got windows cut in. I'm telling you. And I don't know, they don't have no buffers. I think you should pass an order that these things should have buffers. And I think you should put a moratorium on this until we can get a hold of this stuff. Because you need to ride this county. And I mean, people have them outside their houses. They're outside there. A lot of businesses just, even if you ride down 17, this has been something. I think I saw one where the feeds, I think I saw one down at 17. But we're behind 8, all this stuff is all over the county. And some people are using them for housing.
And I know one circumstance where people are using that as their buffer between
Right.
their neighbors. Instead of a
Right.
fence, they put that, so they can store, they put them back to back, they can
That's
store
right.
stuff in them and their buffer, so now the neighbor sees it.
That's right.
But I mean, if you just look at what's trending in the counties around us, you got Beaufort County, shipping containers are not allowed to be as an accessory structure. All right, and you go over here to Berkeley County, it's not allowed, but in this one little small rural flex district 1, okay, you got Orangeburg County, shipping containers not allowed as accessory structures. You know, I mean, that's our neighbors, they're taking this on as well.
And I
And
mean,
maybe it's something like this.
But you know what they have that we have that they don't have? Access to the port. And where do you think these things are coming from that area? I mean,
Berkeley's right there in Charleston. They
one
got a
of my
port there.
neighbors worked out there, and I know that, that's a source.
And so they've been allowed, except in the residential zoning district, but nobody gets a permit. And then like, these screening requirements, this is applicable to all commercial site plans. So if you're residential, you're exempt from needing to meet this part of the ordinance. So that's why I say, if it is something we're going, so staff did suggest in the staff report that in the residential zone, we don't allow it. But if the planning commission thinks it should be allowed, then I would suggest we maybe do some standards to address some of these things, especially visibility.
Dr. Lawson.
I got,
You can go ahead.
I got one.
Ms. Furter.
I just have one other suggestion. I would just hope today that this county would be like a lot of other counties, where the county, some counties have 50, 60 acres of land where you can only put these stuff in. That's why you don't see this stuff in a lot of city limits, a lot of county limits, because they have huge industrial park where you put these big storage units, where you put all this stuff. I just hope one day that we could get there where we don't have to worry about the stuff where the county will have 60, even Hilton Head. That's why you can see this in Hilton Head. They have a huge industrial park. If you want to put this stuff, you're going to have to put it over there in this park. And I just hope one day we could get to that, and we could eliminate huge, the county could get some property and be able to put stuff. And it just, even Argent Square, that's a nice place, but they're not equipped to put some of these stuff that are coming to this county. I'm telling you, we really need to wake up and get some property that we can put a lot of this stuff and get it out of the county. Thank you, Mr. Jeff.
I know that a lot of people are using these things for housing.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah, they're using them for housing. So for these other counties to not allow them, do they have any specific reason other than blight?
So if you're using it for housing, it's no longer an accessory structure. We would allow that too, because you have to get an architect who is going to design that space to make it meet the International Residential Code. So if you do that, you're allowed to use it.
In a residential?
Yes. So now it's no longer classified as accessory structure, it's classified as a residential structure.
So these other counties who are not allowing these containers, is it because of blight? Is it because of the aesthetics of it, the way it looks? Is that the reason that they're not allowing them? That they become rusted and just an eyesore for the community?
I think a lot of times they do become an eyesore. I think not that everybody keeps theirs to be an eyesore, but in general. Again, once they sit there for a long time, they do begin to rust, and they probably never get moved. And so, but I haven't really had those conversations with the county. I just went in and, we all have not all counties, but most counties have all their codes on Municode, so they're easy to search.
Lisa, as far as the containers are concerned, right now they are not allowed in residential, is that right?
That's correct.
And we are here tonight to talk about accessory structure, which does not include those necessary.
Well, that was just part of the accessory structure ordinance, and back in May, I told y'all I would bring something back.
This was sent back to us about increasing the size of accessory structures. So I would think that we should go ahead and deal with that.
Yeah, I
and
do.
deal with these
Yeah.
containers at another time. And deal with it as a separate issue rather than putting it all together. I think we'd get through this evening much quicker and efficiently. Agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I would not want to live in a community where my neighbors were allowed to put accessory structures or containers on both sides of me. So that's a discussion I think we need to have and put ourselves in our neighbors' shoes and how we would feel about it. And I'm not saying that we don't have them. We have them at our churches, we have them all over the place, and these are residential areas. But we have to come up with an ordinance that we can control it. And grandfather in who's grandfathered in the future move forward.
Yeah, and when I referred to taking bite sizes, that's what I meant. Let's like look at the accessory structure and figure out these sizes for residential, and then so that we can get that back. And then if you're so inclined in any motions you make, maybe you want to direct staff to look at shipping containers. I wanted to throw it in there just because we had that conversation in May when this came to you, and we told you we'd bring you something back, and they were in everybody's accessory structure ordinance. So it was there. Wanted to present it to you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, is there any other questions on the accessory structure recommendation?
Oh, what other question? Do you feel like these changes that you have made will satisfy the council on what they're asking for? Or do you think they'll be sending it back to us? You said that one instance that triggered this. What was that again?
Well, we had one who came in and applied for an accessory structure. They didn't want a real big one. They wanted 1,130 or 1,140 square feet. I forget the exact number, but it was one of those numbers on an acre and a half of land. And they were limited to 800 square feet. So we had to deny their permit. They're still waiting, as a matter of fact, to see what's going to happen to get this permit.
Yeah, this still wouldn't need it.
They've already ordered their buildings. So I thought, well, you know, in his case, he would meet it with the 50%.
Oh, okay, in other words, his primary residence is large enough to.
Oh, and you know, and we are proposing 1 to 1.9 acres, 1,200 square feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I personally struggled. I understand maybe 800 square feet isn't enough, but I struggle with making it too big because I know the advantage of.
And this person did not know the limitation on accessory structure before he ordered his building?
Sir?
You said he had ordered his building that went beyond the limits of the accessory structure. Was this information available to him before he ordered his building?
Well, it's online, but I understand. He said it wasn't easy to find, but I understand a lot of people in the general public may not be real familiar with how to go look up the codes, but they are right there online, and anybody can call our office and ask, and we certainly would answer that question for them. But he probably never registered that there would be a size limitation,
Right.
to be honest.
We're in a transition period in this county, and everybody has to recognize that we are moving away from a very rural county into whatever it's turning into, where people are jammed up against each other, and our country way of life is fast disappearing. But we still have that mentality, and it's going to take a minute.
So I think if we look at what was in the package tonight, just under the 962, and just go through that and see, do you think that's fair? Is it reasonable, or do we need to do a little bit more? What is your opinion? You have my opinion, so.
For me personally, I have a hard time visualizing this.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
A
I
two-car
Maybe I-
garage is a 24 by 24.
What now?
A two-car garage, typically it's a 24 by 24, which is 576 square feet.
Okay.
You know, so if that helps you any.
Yeah, it does. It provides a little picture in my mind.
Your 800 square foot building would roughly be 30 feet wide by 28 foot deep. So you could park a boat in it, you know, tractor and a bush hog or something like that, a car, yeah. That would form up pretty much 2 bays, a 15-foot wide piece, 26 foot deep.
And how many
And
square
that
feet
would-
is that?
That's, I think, 780, which is right under the 800
800 square
threshold.
feet.
It's probably the size building, but, for a half an acre, 800 square feet is a pretty good sized building for that size lot. I think that should be the maximum myself for that piece of land. But this does allow the person who has, because you see what it says before. I mean, if you had 1.9 acres, you're still only allowed 800 square feet.
Well, now what's on
Current.
the screen is the original one.
Right.
This is-
Now, current, the upgrade we've made, you could have 1.9 acres and have 1,200 square feet. So it allows you that much more. Because that's a good little piece of land. 2 acres is tiny. It's enough to drive around and pull around and back a boat or something like that. So, I mean, it allows you a little more room. You want to add a little, whatever you want to do out there. And I think this is good here, this new proposition.
So am I totally confused when I ask you, they could have 3 buildings this size on their lot?
Nope. They can have 3 buildings, but together should not exceed that
That
size.
total of all
Whether they
3.
wanted, if we say it's a 1,200 square foot, and they wanted 600 square foot, then they can have a 300 and 300.
And this has to be not under their principal residence roof. It's going to be something set to the side.
That's right. That is something we already do. If it is attached to your principal residence and you have a walkway or it's under the roof of the house, then we consider that to be part of it's not a freestanding accessory structure. It's part of your primary residence.
Mr. Chairman. Lisa, the only thing that I feel like we might have to look at a little bit is as far as the 7,500 square feet on the rural reservations. Is there any way we could put in there that maybe if it exceeds the 7,500 square feet, that it would have to be approved by staff?
We could, and I would just also point out to you, you need to have 30 acres to get to that number.
Right.
So if you choose not to put a cap on it, we don't have to. But then I thought of the larger, the 100 acres, and maybe that's still fine because you have 100 acres. You know how much
Well, yeah,
more you
I'm
can do.
thinking maybe, maybe an equestrian center or something of that nature,
Yeah.
That somebody may want to build. I'm not saying they're going to build it tomorrow, but
Yeah.
they may want to at a later date, and it may exceed that 7,500 square feet.
Yeah, so we don't have to put a limit there if you all think, again, like I said, you need 30 acres to get to 7,500 square feet. 25 acres, you can get to 6,500 square feet. So,
Or you can put up to 7,500 square feet and anything open with approval from the county.
well, that's also why I asked the question about if it's a bona fide agriculture, we can exempt those.
And that's why I would want to go to staff. If it's above that, I want it to go to staff so that staff could actually see, okay, what is this going to be? And is it going to be a bona fide agricultural building?
Let me explain something there. The controversial part of it comes there. It's not so bad when you're talking about just somebody got a resident, but these hunting lodges and clubs, if you don't control, they build a lot of different accessory structures. So we have to look at what can accommodate those when they got 30, 40 acres, and they build a lot of different accessory structures on those hunt clubs and plantations. The individual you talk about, I think he asked me about that. He wants to do a workshop and then boat and all this, but that's another beast. If it's in a residential, a certain kind of work shouldn't be taking place there.
Yeah. And if you think it's appropriate in rural preservation, we could take out that size restriction of 7,500 square feet, or we could leave it and do an exemption, or we could take it out. Again, you've got to have 30 acres to get there if you use this formula here. I just wanted to make sure before we do anything what our last one was. So on this last, the ordinance we were amending, it originally said 5 acres or more was 2,000 square feet plus 250 square feet. So we went to 2,500 square feet, but then we said 200 square feet. So we could also increase that 200, leave it at the 250.
Well, we could just take out the limitation of 7,500 and just go 200 square feet per acre. So if I got 100 acres, you know, whatever it is,
Yeah.
just gets bigger. So
And
just
I'd
take
be
out the
okay with
limitation.
that in the rural preservation zoning district.
I think that makes more sense to me.
Okay. But that's,
But I have one more question.
yes,
I
sir.
have one
From
more
rural
question.
preservation, but only.
You said this was coincidental that this person came before the county council. Now, if that did not happen, you just assume that this would have gone through.
I doubt it because I really kind of doubt that. We've had a council member who also has been affected by this, but
Before all
this
that
wasn't
came about.
done for them, so
Well,
I
I say that to say this, you know, once you're gonna always have somebody that did not read or did not think that we're not gonna be changing the ordinance every time somebody neglected to look online and see.
yeah, and they weren't affected recently either. Let's get that out there. It was prior to them being a council member, and it was in the past, and they did add on to their house to make it part of the primary structure. And when I meant it was coincidental, I mean, I did tell the guy, you know, I just happened to be presenting this to the council, but it was coincidental that it all happened in the same week, basically, and he's calling up the same day.
Okay.
So.
I don't have anything else.
Any questions, comments, anybody?
So
I'm
do
ready to
we,
entertain a motion.
and do we all agree, just to make sure about that, just take out the 7,500 square foot limitation?
Yeah, we can make that in
Okay.
the motion.
And then that takes out the bone of the exemption for ag, okay.
Mr. Chairman, even if y'all make the motion, I just put in what y'all restriction was, what y'all put in this.
I think you just wanted to take out the limitation, accept
Take
the
out-
staff,
take
accept
out-
the staff recommendations
And take out the
and
75.
remove the limitation, not this.
75 feet.
Yeah,
7,500
and are you
square
okay with residential?
$7,500.
If you want to make any changes there, you can, so.
What is the other one? Just that one? Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we accept, the recommendation coming from, Lisa, people of the zoning tax amendment, providing we take out the 7,500 feet limitation.
I'll second that.
Motion have been made by Mr. Jenkins that we accept the recommendation coming from staff with taking out the limitation of
75.
7,500 square feet. Second by Mr. Wade. Ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor, such clerk, let it know by saying aye. Aye. And opposers? The next thing on the agenda this afternoon is the new business on road name petition, Green Room Partners.
Green Room Partners is developing a single-family rental community, which is known as the CSP PDD. It's located along Highway 278, east of Exit 8, between Brickyard Road and Hilton Head Lakes. As part of their development, 8 roads will be constructed to serve the community. The road names that were chosen have been properly submitted to the Address Program Administrator, who determined there are not any conflicts with any other road names. All 8 roads will be privately maintained. The subject roads will provide access to 256 single-family units. In accordance with the Jasper County Road Naming Ordinance, all new roads shall be approved by the Planning Commission. No new private road names shall be recognized by the county or added to the county's list of road names without the approval of the Planning Commission upon recommendation of the Address Program Administrator. New subdivision roads, whether public or private, shall be named when created through the land development process, which shall include the submission of road names to the Address Program Administrator, who shall make recommendation of the road names to the Planning Commission for approval. The name of any new road shall not be duplicated or be confusingly similar to any other road name already existing in Jasper County. The names of private roads which require naming to facilitate postal delivery and emergency response shall be recognized by the county at the request of the citizens who own property adjacent to the road. The name of the private road shall be commonly known to the community. In the event there are 2 or more recommendations of names, the Planning Commission shall determine the name given recognition to the name preferred by at least 51% of the property owners on the road. Staff recommends approval of all 8 road names, which are Broad Street, Conduit Street, Ellis Square East, Ellis Square West, Jefferson Street, Meeting Street, Mercer Way, and Morrison Street. The road name petition meets the county's road naming ordinance requirements. Attached to your staff report is the road name petition and is the map that shows the CSP development, but the roads are drawn in on this map. I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is a rental property, right, Lisa?
It's the build for rent community, yes.
This is what, I'm sorry.
Built to rent.
Mr. Chairman.
It's the build for rent community, the CSP PDD.
Yeah, that's the way I want to watch so we can move this forward quickly. Or, I'm sorry, first, do you have anything? Mr. Wade?
The only thing I have, Lisa, is, was this also ran by the town of Hardyville as far as the road names to make sure that there was no conflict in there?
Our program administrator keeps up with Hardyville's road names. They're the ones who keep that index for Hardyville and the county. So when Hardyville has a road name petition, they check in that same database. So it's all been checked from that.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
None, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Dr. Boston?
This is just common procedures for development, right? They
Yes,
come
sir.
to us, they bring it, and okay,
Yes.
that's it.
Dr. Boston?
No, sir.
None here.
So I'm ready to entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the road name recommendation coming from the applicants.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Dr. Boston, we receive a motion to approve the road name for Green Room Partners, second by Dr. Boston. Ready for questions? Hearing none, all in favor of such motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
It's carried. The next on the agenda is petition for Old Mallory Place. That's on the Wagon Branch Loop.
Yes, the applicants request an existing unnamed road be named Old Mallory Place, and the subject road is a private maintained road serving 4 lots. There is 1 existing residence and the other 3 lots are currently undeveloped. The subject road is located off of Wagon Branch Loop. The Jasper County E911 address coordinator has determined that the road should be named because it's greater than 500 feet in length. The road name petition has been properly submitted to the address program administrator, who determined that there are no conflicts with any other road names. The fire marshal also inspected the road and determined that the road is in compliance with International Fire Code. I won't read the same language that I just read in the other one as far as the requirements, but the road name petition is in compliance with the Jasper County road naming ordinance, and so staff recommends approval of the road name. And just for the record, I do know there is an intention to build another house back there. The road name petition is attached to the staff report, as well as a map. At the head of the road, they filed the road name petition, but the road is outlined in yellow. And then Tara made a little better map. It's easier to see where the road is outlined in red.
Question, Dr. Boston?
None.
Dr. Butler?
No, sir.
Mr. Lee?
Not here.
Ms. Ferguson? Mr. Wade?
None.
Mr. Jenkins?
None, Mr. Chairman.
I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the recommendation coming from the staff on the recommend naming of Old Mallory
Second.
Place.
Motion by Dr. Boston. Approval of the road name for Old Mallory Place, second by Dr. Butler. Ready for question? Hearing none. All in favor, such motion, let everybody know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? None opposed. The next thing on the agenda, Jasper County Land Development Regulation Tax Amendment, Article 2, 1.4, minor site plan.
This agenda item is a minor amendment to the Jasper County Land Development Regulations, Article 2.1.4, minor site plan, for the purpose of including site improvements to the definition of a minor site plan. While it should go without saying land development includes site improvements, however, recently staff received 2 inquiries about parking lot improvements at existing commercial sites. When the developer was told they needed to file a minor site plan for review, they pointed out that the land development regulations only require new structures to be reviewed through the land development process. The land development regulations are not applicable to single-family development. They only apply to commercial, multifamily, and subdivision developments. And the intent of the Jasper County regulations are to encourage the development of economically sound and stable counties, to assure the timely provision of required streets, utilities, and other facilities and services to new land development, to assure the adequate provision of safe and convenient traffic access and circulation, both vehicular and pedestrian, in and through new land developments, to assure the provision of needed public open spaces and building sites in new land developments through the dedication or reservation of land for recreational, educational, transportation, and other public purposes, and to assure in general the wise and timely development of new areas and redevelopment of previously developed areas in harmony with the comprehensive plan. So right here, that last one talked about redevelopment of previously developed areas, but those are the intent. And I think everybody does totally understand, for the most part, that site improvements should be included. So this is extremely minor. On the back page, you'll see where the red language is, and this is all we're proposing to add to this definition, so that a minor site plan reads any land development, excluding single family or duplex residential construction of one parcel for the purpose of expanding an existing conforming use or constructing a new structure for an approved use, including a small business, multiple occupancy building, commercial building, and other approved development as defined for this ordinance, to include site improvements. So that's all we want to do there, is just add that. Now everything else stays the same. So staff does recommend approval of the proposed amendment to the land development regulations.
Dr. Lawson?
None at this time.
Not here.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Jenkins?
I'll offer the motion.
Okay, I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Chairman, I offer motion that we accept staff recommendation to the Jasper County landfill and regulation tax map article 214 on the site plan.
A motion by Mr. Jenkins that we approve the recommendation from staff on the tax map amendment, second by Ms. Ferguson. Any question? Hearing none, all in favor of such motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next thing is, open discussion.
Sir, I have something.
Okay?
We received, I guess everybody did, we received several letters via email, and this is, they sent it to the planning commission. One, I didn't write it down, I thought I'd pull my phone up and deal. Did you get a copy of, there were I got 2 letters from the folks that live on Old Charleston Road. And did everybody get those letters? They were sent to our email.
Yeah, the one was sent directly to y'all and county council, and then I got a second one came to me, and I have forwarded it to all of the county council members and all of y'all. Oh, I didn't get the third one then. I only got 2.
I think we have a representative here from that.
Well,
Would y'all like to say something?
Yes, I would.
Or you can come forward and give your name for the record.
Hello, I'm Sheila Chisholm from 54 California Way. To the clerk, to the director, to all the members, Mr. Pinckney. Can I read this?
Yeah.
Just have something quick. It says, good evening, clerk, director of Planning Commission and Planning Commission members. We, the Old Charleston and Pewsburg community, would like to address the issues regarding the illegal use of the soccer field located on 522 Old Charleston Highway in Hardyville. Our community is not zoned for these disruptive activities, and that's why we're not even zoned. That's why local zoning regulations are put in place. We want to restrict all activities considered disruptive in our neighborhood. Examples: noise, traffic, selling of goods without proper permits, and alcohol. The consequences of violating zone laws can include fines, penalties, and cease and desist orders, which was brought up on June 10th in the meeting by the Planning Commission. Please explain the process when something is being run illegally, and even after brought up at the last meeting, they still continue to operate illegally. At what point do a code enforcement come in and enforce the laws? How do we allow anyone to come in and not obey the zoning regulations? We would like to see the removal of the soccer field on the Old Charleston Highway. We the Old Charleston and Pewsburg community have signed a petition for the removal of the soccer field. This community wants to see change, so please do what's right and help us. The last meeting we had last month, they stopped for a minute. The community it felt like normal. It went back to being just that quiet community. I see people riding on their golf carts. I'm like, okay, it feels good. It feels like it once did. July the 5th, they say, hey, we'll go play soccer. I was sitting on my porch and I heard the intercom. And I'm like, I know they're not playing soccer, because in our last meeting, the members was a cease and desist. I don't know the process for that. I don't know what happens next. But if I was in a meeting, the owners, and you guys said cease and desist until we figure this out or whatever, then I would have stopped all activities. But instead, we heard the soccer field going. They started out with some of us neighbors went up and we just watched it all. So we called the sheriff department and said, hey, we were in a planning commission meeting and I don't understand, and so he was like, well, he sent his fire marshal out and some of his deputies, and then told them, I believe, that they could play until 4:30. If something is running illegally, and where they used to sit up to collect the money, now they don't sit there anymore. It's pushed in the back now. You understand? And so I say, if we have laws, and this is supposedly about children, what are we teaching our children? That you don't have to do this, you don't have to go by this, just get you some land and do what you want to do. And it doesn't matter about the neighbors or how they feel. Our neighborhood, no neighborhood is perfect, but it was a quiet neighborhood where we could, and then when they were told to leave and they got upset, they were spinning out, they didn't care. Now that became dangerous. So I just wanted to come back to you all and ask, because we have a petition and we have over 100 signatures of neighbors in the Old Charleston and the Pughsburg community because of the traffic, because of the turn up, because when they leaving, it's terrible. It's the cars racing up and down, and it's like, no, we're not picking on you. We want our neighborhood to go back to where it was. A calm neighborhood where I can walk across the street to my neighbor's house and not be afraid. So I just wanted to address, and I thank you for listening to me, because I'm telling you, I'm not the only one. It's the community itself. So I thank you for listening, and I just wanted, my basic question was, when I heard you say, we're going to recommend a cease and desist, why is this still going on? What's the process of it? What happens next?
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wagner?
Yes. So they've never had permission to operate out there, to do what they're doing. And we did come to y'all, because they asked for that. But since that meeting, they have been told that they never had permission to do what they're doing, that they cannot do it. And the staff has had a meeting with the administrator and code enforcement, and several of us have had a meeting. We haven't decided how that's going to be handled. I don't think any of us want to help those property owners, because we don't want to help them be a nuisance in the community. So they tried to get a special event permit. They've been told no. Saturday I found out about what they were doing, and I actually had the fire marshal go out there. He has delivered a notice of order, but if they don't cooperate, then the county's going to have to take them to court and ask for an injunction. But it really should, like one call I got today was about them drinking and driving and speeding. I mean, I said to that person, I just encourage you as a community member, you have to call the police every time, because I can't do anything about somebody drinking and driving or speeding down the road.
But a part of what I thought we was tasked with is to put some regulation in place with that type of thing, where it could be allowed and not allowed.
Yeah. Well, so it's currently not allowed, and that's what we were going to do, but after the way it went last month, I don't think that the county really wants to. We kind of feel like the property owners used the youth soccer team, who you could tell they were totally surprised at what all was going on. They evidently go out there twice a week and they practice, but they don't have games out there. Their games are in Charleston. The man who owns the youth soccer league, he told me their games are in Charleston. I think the property owners were using them as a ploy to disguise what they are doing. So the staff members who have met, I know there was some different things thrown around. I would like to see Jasper County Parks and Recreation work towards providing facilities for youth, whether it be soccer, whatever the sport is.
One of the ladies that was actively involved in trying to get attention to this matter called me when this was all going on Saturday, and she said that there are no children playing soccer on this field today. They're all adults out there. And unfortunately, you know, I don't think we have reliable reporters of what's going on from the owners of the property. I hate to say that, but I feel like we're not getting a true picture of what's happening out there from them.
When the owners of the soccer team presented the argument of them being able to practice there, we have a rec facility at Partyville City Hall where they can practice, or
We have no control over
no,
that.
I'm just saying,
so-
that's an alternative. That's not the only place. It's not like we're kicking them off and they have no place to go.
Well, they were going to Wagon
Well,
Ridge.
they were told they couldn't come
To
use the
Partyville.
county field.
That's it, they couldn't.
Right.
What?
I can't hear you, Lisa. What did you say?
I think because they were a private organization, it's kind of like having like a traveling league. But I think maybe the county, you know, I think the county will look at that. I wasn't involved with those conversations, but they said they have approached a couple people, including the county, to use their fields for practice. But I think it had to do that it was a private organization. But I do know in other places, the counties, when they allow the private organizations to use their fields, whether it's a game or whether it's practice, those teams pay for that.
Right.
They'll pay for that. That helps the county maintain those fields.
Say that they're not paying these people.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair, oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, all of that's well and good, but you've already decided that this function was not going to take place. So like the lady said, they're doing it illegally. My question is, what is the county going to do about that since it's illegal? I mean, we can come up with solutions, but right now they're operating something
Right,
that we don't want
but
them to
I know
operate.
people don't want to hear it, but I don't enforce code enforcement. We have a code enforcement department, and that question needs to go there. County council is aware, they've received the emails. The petition I just got just before coming into this meeting will be forwarded on to the council. At this point, the staff has, again, there's been many of us, we invited the sheriff's department to come meet with us, but it was code enforcement, it was the not the fire marshal, but the director of emergency services, the administrator, myself, Parks and Recreation, and the director of development services. We didn't come up with that day what the solution is going to be. We were trying to decide how are we going to address the request to have sports for the youth. We're not interested in figuring out how we're going to have it for adults.
Right, but I'm looking at code enforcement.
Right.
You said something about going ahead and file and then taking them to court. Is that
I mean,
in
that's
process?
what the county ordinance is. I'll check with the code enforcement officer.
So that's where
tomorrow.
it should be headed now, to court.
They gave them a notice of order
Okay.
on Saturday.
Okay.
Whether they've broken that order since Saturday, if that's happened, I'm not aware of it. But I'm just
Would
trying
they
to
bring
say.
that back to you? Would they take that to their code enforcement officers?
It really should go to code enforcement.
Okay, let's-
I'm very
I just think
limited
we
to
need
what
to
I
move it
can
along.
do there.
Who issued that order?
Rusty Wells, the
He's
director
over
of
code.
emergency services.
But he's over code enforcement.
Yeah.
Lisa, there was some confusion Saturday about who issues orders for, not orders, but who issues permits for activities. Because the gentleman first told the neighbors that he had a permit that was issued to him to have that event. That was the very first thing. And so we got to checking, and apparently more than one person can issue a permit. Do you know how many people can issue permits in this county?
For land use, it would only be me or Tara.
Well, the sheriff said he could issue permits. He told someone there that day that he could issue a permit.
Oh, I'm not aware of that. I would think for land use, he couldn't.
Okay,
I would have to
that was
find
some
more
confusion.
out about that.
But
I'm
then
not
how
sure.
do you-
I don't even know how to answer.
How do you issue a land use permit when they have a cease and desist?
Right,
That's
right.
all.
You know, this
Well,
was,
because we're talking to different, they were talking to the sheriff.
But
It
we
was on a
do
Saturday,
know,
all the offices were closed. They didn't have anybody to call but the sheriff's department. to
but
try
we
to get
do
some
know
money.
that property owners was saying that we issued a permit, which was totally not true. Tara has an email that she provided to them before the weekend, right after the last meeting, telling them why they can't get a special event permit and that they could not do anything.
well, let me say, why this kind of upsets me a little bit, not only what they're talking about, but we've had this problem with code enforcement forever, even if it's just throwing garbage on the highway or putting something where something shouldn't be. We always make these rules and regulations, but we don't have any teeth in them when somebody carries them out. So it looks like the same situation, just it's happening in their community now.
Mr. Chairman.
Somebody should be in court or fined or something by now.
Mr. Chairman, when they were here last time, I believe we made it plain to them that they were in violation. So if they went back and they violated the law, that means they thumbed their nose at us, at the county,
That's exactly
at the
right.
sheriff department, that telling us they're gonna do what they wanna do regardless of what the law says. So now it should be that they should break the law. It should be at the stage where they should suffer the consequence. And I'm telling you, if this don't get done, somebody out there gonna get hurt.
Well, evidently somebody who
Yes,
feels like they got carte blanche.
Yeah, so I was here, and Mr. Chairman was saying, we made it plain to him, Mr. Chairman made it plain. Even we thank God for the law enforcement officer that was here that quieted them down here the other night. But Mr. Chairman made it plain that you were in violation of the law.
They're
So
aware.
if they
They're
went back and didn't do like we asked them to do, or the county asked, even if your office asked, even if your enforcement officer went out there and asked them. So what they're saying, that we don't care what y'all saying, we're gonna do what we're gonna wanna do, we're gonna break the law. So now they are breaking the law, so we at the stage where they pass discussion, there should be consequences for their actions.
I do think that their facility, they hold other types of activities. I think they have rodeos out there.
Well, not at the soccer field. He admitted
It's on
he
the
got.
same property.
No, it's not the same property.
It's two, can I speak?
It's several properties down. There's 2 or 3 in between them.
Oh,
He
okay.
got up and gave the address. We got it on tape.
Okay,
We
I'm
looked it
sorry, I
up.
stand corrected.
Yeah.
I don't know, because
There's two
Yeah.
separate properties.
Yeah.
And what he said about they gather as a family, that's a rodeo. Some of my neighbors who signed this have been to the rodeo where they had to pay to go in. So and the rodeo sits closer to me than the soccer field, and I can hear when they start, it's like live.
Well,
And
they
it
haven't
goes
stopped
all
there.
day. And when they come in and you say, if you consider the neighbors, you would have went around and asked some of the neighbors, what do you think about us bringing this in? Or what do you think about this? And it's so quiet.
So they have another facility.
They have
That's
another
right.
facility.
Mr.
I did not know that.
Arturo Sanchez said, he said with his own mouth that the rodeo is his, the soccer field is Francisco.
Well, he can't hold
They're all
rodeos
in
there
one.
without a permit from your office.
We just been told.
Yeah, they're all in one. I mean, the mixing up and, whatnot.
Yeah, I thought it was on the same location, because I know the rodeo is a big deal, because that's more of a party atmosphere. Maybe.
They have 2 sets of properties, and on that rodeo, those houses, the buildings that y'all talking about, they have several there.
That's on the other side of Clinton's house?
Yeah, that's before, where if you come on, they even got a sign out with the animal, for the rodeo. If you come back down a few houses, you're gonna see that sign that sits in front of, there was there's Miss Betty, what was Betty's last name? I don't know her name, but she's no longer, it's a blue house. And then they have a rodeo and all the property, and they go all the way back. And in the evening time, sometimes you can hear them shooting rounds. Let's throw that in too. It's quite noisy there.
But
Y'all,
you
it's a
need to-
lot.
The neighborhood needs to contact the sheriff's department.
We do. We do. Sheriff, Jasper County Sheriff Department. And when the sheriff goes out or when somebody's calling, they say it's okay for them to shoot on their property.
That's true. I've been
You know,
on that.
and so my thing is, if you're drinking alcohol and it's a certain time of the day where we start hearing the gunshots, what happens if it is okay to shoot on your property and that gun, the bullet, you understand? If there's a neighbor that's on the other side of you, a neighbor in the back, Honey Hill in the back, it might be woods there, but Honey Hill, you know, all that stuff runs together. And so they do what, they've come in and they do what they want to do because they were so upset. He's like, nobody, we're going to do, and matter of fact, instead of leaving at 4:30 when they tell us, we're going to stay here till 11 o'clock. And I don't know if they played soccer, but they stayed down there until about 9. And that's all I have to say. I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for being a representation of my community, because there's some things that we're going to clean up. We want a good community. We love the peace, and we want to be able to ride our golf cars. We want to be able to walk across the street to say hello to our neighbors. You know? Thank you.
Mr. Wagner, we have done what we could do.
Right.
But what I still question is the force. The guidelines for those type functions, if you want us to work on that, put something together, we'll be glad to look at that. Because if that one popped up, there's going to be other ones popping up. So when they come to you, you have some regulation to say, this is what you got to meet or you can't do it. And that would work better.
So do you want to consider them or you don't? Because our ordinance already does not allow it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think we should consider it.
Would you
So we
repeat
were
that?
trying to bring it to you to say, do y'all want to consider this for the youth? And that was some of the conditions we would have said would have only been for the youth. I sat down and talked to these people and explained to them why we wouldn't want to see it be adults because of the drinking and they were, oh yeah, they agreed to all of that. But they were just pulling our leg.
But for saying, I want to set up a recreation thing.
Yeah.
What zoning district does it have to be in?
What did we find out there? It wasn't allowed in anything but commercial, right? The recreation was
Community
only
commercial?
commercial only.
Community commercial?
zone property.
Or what is the setback?
It really depends, like really you would have like an interior road that needs to be set back depending on what road it accesses, if it's a,
So I mean, parking, and
yeah, you'd have to
lighting,
have parking, lighting.
noise.
Noise, depending on your adjacent uses, buffer yards.
And setbacks and all that.
Yes, yes, sir.
Is all that on the top?
It's in different places, but like the setbacks is in Article 7, the use regulations is Article 6, the buffer yards is in Article 12. So it's there, but we'd have to pull it together. It's not all in one chart together.
Because if they can't meet the guidelines, then we don't have a problem until they can't do it.
Yeah.
All right, and a full discussion, we take that real quick, on the meeting, the joint meeting with Hardyville
Bill?
Plan Commission.
Yes.
What date you were recommending?
Let's see. I'm going to my calendar. So I know August 1st, August 8th, August 11th is not good. We do have our own planning commission meeting on August 12th. We don't have any applications yet, but we have several other things we kind of need to work on, but I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be on vacation next week, and that's going to kind of get into getting things ready. But again, we can get an application within the next week. The submittal deadline doesn't cut off till 5 o'clock next Tuesday. So we might have a meeting on the 12th, but that would leave us with Monday, August 4th, Tuesday, August 5th, Wednesday, August 6th, and Thursday, August 7th. So any day that first week in August except for the 8th. And then looks like August 13th, 14th, and 15th. Hardyville asked that I give them some dates, so I kind of wanted to find out what dates didn't work for y'all. Dr. Bostic gave me the 8th and 11th. I know August 1st isn't good, and then I was going to keep August 12th out of that date. And oh, I have a note here, August 13th is not going to work for me. Oh yeah, I'm in meetings all day that day. So if it's, unless there's a particular day, if it's okay with you, I would recommend to Hardyville that we could meet August 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, that first week. It's every day except for Friday, one of those days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then August 14th as an optional
What
day.
time would it be?
That's what we need to discuss too. I've talked to several people a couple of you have recommended 4 o'clock, but what time?
Because, I mean, what are we trying to accomplish? How much time do we need? That's what we need to look into.
Yeah,
4
so-
o'clock, you want to run till what, 6? You want to meet with them 2 hours? 6
Probably
o'clock, everybody
so.
go home and eat dinner? I mean, is that?
Yeah. I would say that's probably no more than 2 hours. It's to talk about cooperation and coordination. But the more people you get together to have those discussions, the longer it takes. So I would say 2 hours.
Wednesday the 6th works good for me.
You give us the date, but what days are those dates? Focus on what?
Okay, the 4th is on a Monday, the 5th is on a Tuesday, the 6th is on a Wednesday, and the 7th is on a Thursday, and then the following week is a Thursday, the 14th. I think those are the dates we're pretty much down to. Sir?
14th would be fine.
Okay, are you okay with the 6th too?
Yeah.
Because he suggested the 6th.
Yeah, Wednesday would be.
Yeah, 6 would be fine.
Any of those dates.
And, yeah.
As long as I know
So
a week
you're,
or two at a
okay, because I would like to give them a couple of days, just
Right.
in case they have some people who say, oh, that day's not good.
Yeah, as long as it's at 4, any day's good with me.
Mr. Grambling,
The first week of August.
the first week, any of those dates are good for you? If there's a date on the,
The 6th at 4, and just also, I will not be able to make it to the meeting on the 12th.
okay,
So what's the commission? First week
What date do you have?
of August?
6th at 4.
You can't be there.
I'm coming to the Hardyville, and I will make the planning commission.
he can't make it to the August 12th meeting.
6 is fine with me, Mr. Chairman.
6 is good. 6 is good to me.
Are there some other days that week too, just in case we need to give them more than one? That's what I'm asking. Can we give them maybe Monday through Thursday of that week as
Yeah, do that.
a possibility?
Good for me.
Is that okay for you?
I'm out, Tuesday I'm out as well.
Okay.
So, I
August
mean,
4th and August 6th, okay.
6.
Yeah.
So gotta make it business, make a motion.
And
on
the
that.
7th, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody agree on the 6th?
Well, we're gonna send them the dates, if it works for all of y'all, August 4th, August 6th, and August 7th. That's a Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Oh,
That work?
Yeah, we're gonna make a motion on that so we know we agree.
I'd like to make a motion that we agree to meet with Hardyville Planning Commission in August on the 4th, 6th, or the 7th of August
Do I hear a second?
At 4 o'clock.
at 4.
second.
Motion made by Ms. Ferguson, to meet the 4th, 6th, and 7th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Planning Commission of Hardyville. Second by Mr. Jenkins. Ready for question?
One question. We're gonna meet 3 days or 1 day?
No,
Only one of the days.
You got either one of the days you can give us.
And we're okay, location will be
We're not sure yet.
Okay.
still tossed.
We're gonna find a neutral location. I don't know exactly what that means, so we'll let you
I
know.
second Mr. Chairman. I second. I second.
So all in favor, let it by saying aye.
Aye.
Before we close out, Mr. Chairman, you want to say anything to us?
Yeah.
Well, before the chairman come, let
Can-
me add one other thing to the discussion. We were talking about the situations going down there. If it had not been recommended that these young ladies go before county council, I would definitely recommend that they do that, because we're finished with it. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah.
It
And
has
if I-
to go to the county council at this point.
And if I could just tell you real quickly, that there's gonna be a joint council workshop, this Thursday, July 10th at, 1 o'clock at the Hardyville Recreation Center. We can't have all of you come because it could be a quorum, or considered a quorum, but I was asked to invite the chairman and the vice chairman if you wanna come. I'm gonna just pass this out, it's up to you.
Before he speaks, we got one other letter, all of us did, from a guy who had a concern about the map. I don't know, did you get a copy? It was sent to all of us.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that that concern was addressed.
I'm
because
sorry,
many of
thank
us-
you, yes. I'm sorry, Mr.
No
Neal.
problem.
That property is split zone, it's up in Grays. I tried to verify for myself any previous, plat of record. And so it's part of an exempt subdivision now. I guess the gentleman had owned some property and then got more, but he had some property. He owned some and was able to obtain more, or either inherited it from family. And there was no previous plat of that property, and they say that parcel has never changed the configuration, and it's split zone. So he believes it was an error made by Jasper County, basically, and wanted to know if we would consider changing it to residential. So it's residential and rural preservation. And I guess the question would be, should the staff bring it to you as an error, or should they file a rezoning application? I mean,
So
they're
that's
more than
something for
welcome.
you guys to decide.
They're more than welcome to file the application, or, there have been times we brought it back as an error as well, so.
He took the time to email us, and I just
Yes.
wanted to make sure that it was brought up before us.
Thank you for that. And the question came after the packages were made. It's not anything we could get in this package, so.
Thank you.
Mr. Kent?
Okay.
Turn the floor over to you, I'm sorry.
Thank you for what you do, Eric. Code enforcement. It is the bane of this county. I'll tell you that right now. I think of one single thing that I could change in this county would be code enforcement. And one of your former members said one time, we do all this. We make all these regulations. If you don't enforce them, why do it, right? So what we've done is we hired a representative or a person to look at our ordinance. We're changing our ordinance. It will be put out on July the
21st?
21st,
That's
right, 21st. We also hired a new code enforcement person who is going to try to get involved with scheduling and taking care of things, more of a supervisor application. He's also, right now, you hear it today, is he does something and we immediately go and try to issue a ticket and all that. What we're trying to do now is go to the first level. Just try to work with people. See, if they're doing something wrong, work with them, see if we can change it. There's no one here today. We do it as an auxiliary thing. So we're trying to get to that level so we can clear those people out. Now, you can say, all of you can say, let's change things. It's hard, especially when you get into law. And I'll give you a good example. You go down to Duke's, that pink building right there? The pink building that's full of plywood right now?
It's between the old Duke, between Duke's Barbecue and the car wash.
Yeah.
It used to be the furniture store years ago.
And every time we do something, they do something to just postpone it. They're going to go, now they're having an engineer, I think, look at the building to see if they can do something with it. So we can't do anything until they do that because we have to give them a chance, right? So every time we go someplace or do something, it's just one thing more they can do. It's just a matter of time. That's all there is to it. So it is a problem. We are working on it. We have, just remember, this is done in the last 5 months. We've only been, 6 months now. We've only been doing this for 6 months. We recognize the fact that code enforcement is a problem. For me coming here, listening to you, listening to the people that come up here, we feel helpless as much as you do, if not more. So we're trying to do it. It's just going to take time. We have to do the ordinance because our ordinances are wrong. We're correcting ordinances, so when we go to court, we are in compliance. So don't think we're just not doing anything. It's just taking time. And I think the new people that came on the council had the same problem. They thought they'd come on the council, change everything, right? Can't do it because you got laws, you got people's rights. Other than the people that are there, the people that have land have rights also. And if we don't honor their rights, we don't honor anybody's rights. It's an unfortunate thing, I guess. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So that's that. I think you can see the change in the county council. And we're trying. And we recognize code enforcement is probably the biggest problem we have. And zoning is the second biggest. Because we zone, we have zones, and we seem to change the zones. We don't stick to the zoning that we have. So, that's...
This came up in a conversation, I guess, maybe more than a year ago. Part of the problem here is a lack of education, a lack of knowledge, and code enforcement had a young Hispanic man, and he's no longer there. But he went into a community that was primarily Hispanic and simply told the people what they were doing wrong. They didn't know, they didn't understand the law. And I've maintained all along the first step should be education.
That is why we hired that person.
But one person at a time is so inefficient. There needs to be a way to get people mass information to larger numbers.
I'll tell you what.
No, I'm not taking
Tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. Probably the biggest problem is getting the information out.
I agree with that.
We're having Van Giesen, Councilman Van Giesen and myself are having a town hall on the 30th of July. The first town hall we had in Tarboro was 2 people. Now, hopefully, with putting things on Facebook and getting more involved, we'll have a lot more. And part of that is going to be heirs property. EOC will be there. The sheriff will be there. Parks and Rec will be there. Right? We have to get people involved. You talked about Parks and Rec. I put together, one of the few things I did in the last 4 years, I put together a Parks and Rec commission. Do you think I can get anybody to join it?
You mean volunteer?
Volunteer to do it? in there and see what, help out, be part of the problem, be part of the solution to the problem.
Right.
On that. So it's difficult, but it's there, it's coming, and we're getting better at it, I think. People may not see it, but at least the sheriff's going down there and we're talking about it. That's better than it was before. I never heard about it down there 4 years ago, my first 4 years. It was not a thing, I guess, but it was. So people are starting to come forward because they see hope. They see that things can change.
On the county website, is there a place for people to volunteer for things like that?
Yes,
Okay.
there is. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and you're right, because when I worked in the school system, and we had a lot of Latinos and Hispanic kids in the school system, and if you didn't have somebody in the front office that could speak or understand Spanish, you were in trouble. So now if you have people on the law enforcement officers, we're dealing with Hispanic people, we're dealing with Spanish people. If you don't have somebody in law enforcement that can speak their language and go down to Hardyville and tell them what they're doing, if you go down and they don't understand what you tell them.
Glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I go to a different church. There's a Hispanic church down in that area. Guess who goes to that church? The police officer from Hardyville, who's Spanish. So he talks, he has meetings, he tells people, they do. Again, this is all new, we're trying to get it done. In fact, if you look at some of our agendas now, it's in Spanish at the bottom. So we're slowly getting there, but remember, 6 months. 6 months. We've done a lot.
So this community has 600 Spanish people down there have a problem, and the law enforcement officer send me down there. I don't know Spanish, so how am I gonna get them under control if you sending me down there? I don't know what they're saying. They don't know what I'm saying. So right, we got.
But you go to the church, you go to the Hispanic community, right?
Right.
There's always one person there that will speak English,
That's right.
and they'll translate for you. They're like sponges. They want to know what's going on, and they just want to know. And they're law-abiding. I was down there when the ICE was started, this whole thing with the ICE and all that. They were down there. The police officer got up, started talking about it. They were very interested. They were not complaining. They just wanted to know what was going on. So, anyway, is there any other questions? I know I took a little bit more than you wanted me to, right?
I just want to know why you were hiring that you hired.
Excuse me?
I just want to know why you were hiring. Put it on your road. Hire somebody that when they go down, they speak and understand what they're saying, and they understand.
That's hard. It's hard to do, believe it or not. It's hard to hire a Hispanic. We tried to hire a Hispanic for business licenses.
Well, one last thing.
Okay.
Not a question, but I know I received the incident they had in Texas. And we in the low country have, and forever we've had a stormwater problem. You're not going to be able to do the whole county at one time. But the way you move a mountain is one way to say it at a time. You got to start somewhere.
Right.
Northern end, south end, somewhere. But Jasper County have a bad water problem.
Correct. And we had a study that was supposed to be done for the whole county, and it got way late. We had it going, and the government pulled the funding back. So now we're looking for more funding. We also had stormwater studies done in Levy. I know of that one. The outcome of that was Levy, the only way you're going to move water in Levy was dike cleans. What's going to happen there?
But I mean, here's the thing I know. I've been here all my life. Years ago, they had outfall ditches. Now, they went zero maintenance on them. You don't maintain the outfall ditches. State ditches, highways, and roads is going to crumble. And that's been our problem. And when you have a big rain right now, 462, water across the road, 652, water across the road, 278, water across the road. It's too late when somebody is dead to say, well, we're gonna do something. We need to start planning that, be proactive about it.
Well, I've been proactive myself by telling people that they can help out themselves by if they see a ditch that's full, they can go on the DOT, the SCDOT website and put a work order in.
And that once, my daughter put one in for a pothole in front of Joyce Gerald's house. They came out that very week and fixed it.
Well, I did too. For my ditch in front of my house, I was pulling wood on both sides.
Did they come out?
I sent the email to Columbia and they came.
But see, you do it, but how many people have you told to do it? Or asked to do
I did do
it?
it.
Just, that's what it is. I mean, more and more people say they know how to do it now, and that's part of the solution.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying, listen to me carefully. The state can come there and loose the water from her and put it on me. Well, where's that water going? If the outflow ditches are not clean, your problem is still right at hand.
Right? And that's why you need studies and you need where the water goes and where it doesn't go.
The county didn't have anybody that would do it. They had beaver dams that had dammed the thing up back in Pierce.
And we have a whole bunch of things that I've been told is a lot of the ditches and a lot of this water is on private land now. That used to be during the 30s, they made these ditches that move the water.
That's right.
Now comes to today, nobody wants us to go on their land to clean the ditches.
Right.
And they're not gonna clean the
They've been
ditches.
there
Well, not only clean them, but they let them close up.
Right,
Because
that's what I'm saying.
The ditch on the dirt road on the side of my house is non-existent right now. I can actually go across the side of my property onto the dirt road.
Yeah, I used to hunt a property and it had all these drainage ditches that were put in the 30s.
Back when
Never got
I-95 was
maintained.
built, they put in a lot of these
They never
ditches.
got maintained because they didn't want the people going in there maintaining
Well, I can tell you there's hope. I mean, look at how many times we've met with these workshops. We've had, I think I was saying, we had 30 in the first 6 months, we had 30 workshops on different things. And we just scratched the top of it. We've just scratched it.
So the county did get a BRIC grant to do a county-wide drainage study, but then that got pulled back, the funding. So now we have to hunt new funding.
I think it just helped if somebody went out and cleaned the ditches and put your babies there. Because there are those huge ditches in Purisburg, those are the ones that carry the water off.
Mr. Chairman,
Like your property.
just while we have county council, we have a bad problem with traffic in this county. I just hope one day that we can sit down with the state and county council and sit down. On B Street Road, the traffic is bumper to bumper. And you know they just built that. They built about 80 houses on B Street Road. So now if you got 2 cars in there, you're looking to put another 160 cars on B Street Road. We not only have a water problem, we got to do something about our infrastructure when it comes to traffic.
Well, we have.
We're gonna have a problem on B Street Road that is beyond.
Your transportation tax that you just passed is a major infrastructure program.
You know what?
Major infrastructure
You said something
program,
just
building
passed.
roads.
The 1% tax that.
The 1% tax that
referendum.
you passed and
But I think
Back-
those roads are already identified. I don't remember seeing Bees Creek in
I
there.
tell you, I bet you fixing at least another 160 cars on B Street Road, whatever the cars for whom you building 80 houses. And I mean, traffic is horrible on that road now. My church is there, so I don't know what, I just don't know what.
I think there's that, I think part of that road is in part, not that road, you know where the, Bostic, isn't that Bostic's funeral home right there? I think around there, there's gonna be the intersection there is gonna be fixed someplace along the line. But it's not gonna be tomorrow, it's not gonna be the next day, it's gonna be 15 years from now.
And the town of Ridgeland has approved some developments
Right,
along Bees Creek.
we're just behind behind the ball.
I don't know what we plan to do.
If you want it, then we can raise the taxes, triple the taxes, and everybody would complain about that. To do, you know, we're supposed to be the hard rock and the hard place sometimes, saying, yeah, you want this, but you have to pay for this, you know. And then when we raise the rate, we haven't raised it. I think we lowered it last year for $2 mil.
Yeah, but when I go to Hardyville, they're paid. Go up to Hampton County, they're paid. You go to all this stuff, and come to Jasper County.
We have bad roads in the Hardyville
Yeah,
area.
Yeah, they're Hardyville.
Not all of them. They're paving a lot of stuff up in Hardyville. Yeah. But I tell you, we have a bad problem with infrastructure and traffic.
We all know that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's getting
I'm not painting a rosy picture here. I'm saying that it's a work in progress. You know, again, we have a new council. Remember this. When I first got on 4 years ago, there was 60 years of experience. People had 60 years on the council total. January, after Marty Sauls left, there was 6 years. I had 4 of them. No, it was 5 years actually. I had 4. Joey Rowell had 1 year, and the other 2 had none. So it's a training process and all that. And when you run for election, you say, I can do this, I can do that, I can do everything. You get on there and you say, whoa. Yeah. There's a regulation, you got to have three readings, you got to hear public comments and all that. But anyway, anytime. Thank you very much for listening to me. I could be here for hours, you know, if you want.
Motion.
Thank you very much.
Stand.